going on, guys? Colton Gibson on the Hunting Cast. It's been a while since turkey season, I guess. Been doing a couple things on the farm this year. Changed some things on the farm. Things I wish I would have changed this year but didn't, and I definitely am going to change for next year. Food plots and stuff like this, it's always a never-ending thing. You're always thinking about what you could do different to next year. I'm already thinking what I'm going to do different for next year. This spot here is the most southeastern part of this top of this hill here. I don't know how many acres this whole entire top of this hill is, but it's probably about a half acre piece here to an acre, half to 3/4 of an acre part of this food plot. There's clover, and I've since about 3 or 4 weeks ago seeded some turnips and radishes. They are coming up. I've tried a different method this year. It's not working that well, but man, I have a hard time. I don't know if it's Kentucky or what, but getting turnips to grow because of the very little rain we usually get in August. And that's usually the time you need to plant in Kentucky is August. I don't want to be planting in September because that's season. I planted before a 2-week rain came in, and they've came up, but we're on a forecast for 2 or 3 weeks now with no rain. So that's basically what I'm doing. I'm out on the farm just checking food plots, telling y'all a little bit of the different things that I've done. Like I said, this is I call the Noble Stand. It's just part of our history of our farm. There's a little hunting house back there that we call Noble Stand. Putting corn out today just to see what all we've got. I know I've not really got anything over here. I've had a trail camera up for the past 3 or 4 months here just to see if there's anything back here. But I'm getting some corn put out for them. This spot on this side of the farm is usually filled with does and fawns. So most of the bucks are on the more northeastern part of the farm. I do know there's a couple bucks on that side of the farm. There's one that I'm 50-50 on. I've called him Lefty because he's got a really strong left side split G2 or a kicker on the G2, and then he's got a straight turkey foot on the right side. And he's, like I said, super strong on this side, solid G2, solid G3. He's got a smaller G4, but there's one deer I've not seen, and I'll talk to more about that when we get over there. But just getting some corn and cameras out, we'll move on to the next side of the farm. This is my new food plot this year. I've since put clover in here about 2 weeks ago whenever I seeded that. Also seeded this with turnips and radishes, and there's quite a bit coming up already. The clover didn't take extremely well this past spring, but there's quite a bit of clover in here, so next year it should be really good. I'm going to expand this plot next year because this is about 1.5 acres here. And then I'm going to take a right here and then add on about 1/2 to 3/4 of an acre to this as well. But I'm going to make this the clover, and then next year that'll be greens and turnips and radishes and stuff. This is the spot where I've got probably about 6 or 7 bucks, one of which is a 4-year-old that is going to be extremely nice next year. I got another one, like I said, that it's 50-50 on, Lefty. He's here as well. And then there's like a bunch of 2- and 3-year-olds that are going to be really good genetics that I'm excited to see in the next couple of years. I'm still waiting on one deer. And this has been the spot that I seen him 2 years ago for the first time. This hilltop here. He really liked this spot. I got a lot of pictures of him. Didn't get a whole lot of pictures of him last year, but also didn't have, I had a camera up here, but nothing like corn or anything like that out here. This year, I've got a camera out. I'm gonna keep putting corn out just to see. I'm gonna put another camera out as well on the food plot to see if there's anything that I'm not catching. I've done some TSI here. I laid over some trees on this. This is nothing more than a finger that comes out that makes this field soybeans on the other side. There's also TSI done work on this in this block of woods as well. I want to do more TSI in these woods. These are hardwoods, which is oaks and stuff like that. But they're mostly mature trees, so there's not a whole lot of TSI I'm going to do there just because I'm not cutting down really good mature trees. But yeah, I'm going to put some corn out here before I'll move on to the next spot. Last food plot of the day. So if y'all have watched any of our videos or watched the video of where I killed Main Event last year, this food plot has dubbed its name Main Event because this is where I killed my deer last year, called Main Event. So if you haven't watched that, go watch that. It's last year's upload during deer season. It's, as you can see, a clover food plot. It's about half an acre here. The other side where those tall weeds are at is Whitetail Institute power plant, which it's got peas, soybeans, sunflowers, and like one or two other things. I've also got screening planted here, and it's just now taken up. And sun hemp, that's another thing that's in there. And I've cut a trail out right in the middle of it, going back into the woods, because there's a drain that comes up where that's where a lot of these deer feed out of. I've also seeded Domain's green machine and turnips as well in here. I don't know why, but I love seeding turnips and clover. It does an amazing job. That clover shades it out real well. As you can see, this clover has really popped this year. I mean, it's nice, pretty, and green. I mean, look at that. Beautiful. It's probably... I also done some TSI here in like January, February, back in here for bedding. There was a couple of trees already laid over, but there's a lot of small trees about this big around. I mean, about as wide as me. You could barely fit through them, so I thinned some of those out, laid them over, so that the deer have more coverage. This food plot hasn't been holding a lot of deer. A couple of does have been coming in here, but I've not had any corn out. Biggest part of the deer are over there, but I think once they start shedding their velvet, they'll start transitioning over into here, because those are some thinner woods over in there. This is going to be great habitat. They can lay down in there, they can bed down in there. That stuff's over 6 foot tall. So they've got, like I said, there's a path cut up right in the middle and then turned right into the woods, so they can feed right out in here. There's turnips, there's soybeans, or I seeded some turnips going up that trail, but not all the way. But there's soybeans. There's tons of food in that tall stuff. So that'll be a great spot later on this year, even October, November, whenever the beans are out, maybe. They usually don't pick our beans till late. So either way, there's going to be tons of food there. I'm going to leave that tall until next year, and I think I'm going to completely redesign this. I'm going to turn this into, I'm going to put a screen right up the middle and then cut it, kind of like a checkerboard almost. And then I'm going to have this clover here, probably another piece of clover, and then I'm going to have 3 different greens in there. Or maybe do a grain in there as well somewhere. Just throwing some thoughts in my head, but I'm always thinking about what I'm going to do next year. Power plant, I planted too late. I sprayed it with Gly, and I think I waited too long, because by the time I went back through and planted the power plant, weeds were already starting to come back up. So that's what really took that over. I should have Glyed it, probably waited about 5 days, and then went through and seeded. But it is what it is. I don't have any kind of seeder. I literally just hand tossed it. We also didn't get a whole lot of rain whenever I planted it. It was like a week after I planted it till it actually rained. So that probably didn't help it neither. It's not really a whole lot going on. There is, like I said, there's one deer that I have not seen, and I've got 2 years of history with him. This will be number 3 if he shows back up. And I'm kind of worried, because there's been words of poaching going around in our county, which I feel like that's a prevalent thing everywhere. And so he also could have got hit by a car. He could have had an injury from during the rut, but I had camera pictures of him in January, and I seen him with my own eyes late January, February, and he seemed healthy. He still had his antlers. So whether or not he's still around, I don't know. I usually have him on camera by now, but him being older this year, he's either 4 or 5. I'm not sure. Last year I was kind of leaning towards him being 4 last year, but it's kind of hard to tell because I didn't have a whole lot of pictures of him. But I'm kind of on his fringe of his range, but he was still here from like July all the way through January. He would be here. Just not a whole lot of pictures, but I'm hoping he shows back up. He's got bedding here, he's got bedding over there, food, soybeans, he's got everything he wants here. The biggest difference from this year and last year, I'm just going on a ramble, but they didn't plant our soybeans till like mid to late June, which is pretty late for us. It was supposed to be corn this year. Gladly it's not, because I hate bow hunting in corn. And so a lot of these soybeans are still tender and green, so these deer are hammering these soybeans, so they might not even come to corn. Like if you put a corn ball out, you might not get them on camera. So could be staying tight to a bed and soybeans, which is unlike him really, because he's a roamer. But we're going to stick it out. Hopefully he shows back up. I'm going to keep on keeping on running my cameras, moving cameras around till I finally get him on camera. But that's probably going to be it for the end of this video. Y'all keep watching. I'm going to try to get more content out in the next couple of weeks with archery and stuff. I got a problem with my bow. I ain't going to talk about it, but we're going to hopefully get that fixed in the next week or two. It was not, I'll just tell you this, it was not on me. It was the bow. And it has to do with the limbs. But we ain't gonna talk about it. If you like this video, like, subscribe, comment. Leave a comment. Tell me what you think. What do you think I should do with this? Do you think I should leave that for bedding like I have been doing for the past few years? Or should I extend this food plot up, throw in a screen down the middle of it, cross it, like just imagine laying a cross down, or just clean this out, no screening, food plot all the way down through there? What do you think? Thank you.